What do we know?
The
dog made us do something. We're sitting here in the cold.
Did we just get... we got done singing, right? I forgot to press the record button after we did some singing. So, we just got done doing that.
Truck stop.
But, the one thing on our list we didn't do was talk about an electronic musician.
The electronic musician!
About... What are you... Oh.
Let me hear. Do we have glow sticks?
Okay. Alright. This is one where you want to keep your booty off of the floor. You remember this? Actually, this artist was like... This review was brought on by an artist that you left.
Luckily, I got the dance pants.
Yeah, sure.
For when you need to do the pants dance.
Exactly. But you left these albums. These albums were left in the production room. The old shack. You know Synergy? We're doing Synergy today.
Oh, yeah! I forgot those were my CDs, remember?
Yeah, you left them. But, like, Synergy is one of those...
I forgot they were mine.
Yeah.
I forgot what Synergy was.
Right.
I forgot I left them in the shack.
Yeah, I mean...
Isn't that kind of a synergism?
It kind of is. Like, I took a listen to him, and as it turns out, it's one of those artists that you want to keep your booty in a chair. You don't want to get on the... Not all electronic artists, you need to get your booty on the floor type thing.
You mean dancing wasn't perfectly appropriate and called for?
No,
if not wasn't. Completely necessary?
Well, nothing is ever complete... Well, everything is completely necessary, but then again, nothing is completely necessary.
That would count as a synergy.
It would. It would count as a synergy. So basically...
Sorry, we forgot the CDs. They're supposed to be on the table with the dog.
Yeah, there's no small squares.
That's not made up, though, correct?
No, we had...
They're literally... They are physically still in the damn...
Yes.
Previous filming location where people live now.
Yeah, they're not here. So,
because I forgot to get them?
Yeah, and we might be able to creep in a shot of them when we had our cultural appreciation... What was it?
Sideways. I don't think they were on display.
No.
It'll just show the little spine of the CD.
So, basically, Synergy is really easy to sum up. Like, there's an artist name by the name of Larry Fast. Yeah, what were you thinking with those anyway?
You don't even glow!
This Larry Fast guy did some collaborations as Synergy with, Yes... Peter Gabriel was another one, and a handful of others.
Yeah, that part I didn't even know.
He did
That's
a few
on the wiki button.
He did a few songs for movies and did a full-on movie soundtrack, which we'll get to in a minute. But basically, he's one of these early synth pioneer guys. Started his first album came out in '75.
One of the numerous.
So yeah,
ones of them.
He falls in line with
years later,
Keith Emerson and
1975,
and Rick Wakeman, and he falls late in line, but he still falls in line.
Hans Feumann,
yeah,
Hans Neumann,
Klaus Schulze, maybe, but
yeah, better say Klaus Schulze.
But
well, it was the fellow I just saw it on the YouTube recommendations the other night. It was. Released in 1970, Chopin a la Moog. That I want to look at. It was Hans, it was a German guy, Hans somebody.
That's pretty awesome.
But yeah, Larry Fast, Synergy Man.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a group or is it one guy named Larry Fast?
It is one guy named Larry Fast. But Larry Fast isn't all that marketable of a name, so I can see why he came up with the band name Synergy.
Man.
So, the band name Synergy. But anyway, here we are.
Rock group.
Let's do this.
Let's see. When did I get that first CD on the basis of cool-ass cover?
Yeah.
All of his album covers are awesome. But I bought the Games album on CD in the 2000s. When did I buy that? Like 2002 or 3 or something. I just kind of found it at a CD store and noticed that it would probably be cool because it was called Synergy.
Yeah.
And had a cool cover. I didn't know who he was.
It was well before I knew you, anyway. Because I didn't even know you had that album. So,
well, that's the thing. You forget.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty yeah, but, so...
A synergy of...
I, of course...
Forgetting.
I, of course, did not know Synergy even existed until I saw those 2 albums in said old location.
Oh, yeah. What was the other one I got? The first one.
The first one was...
75. Electronic... What is it? Electronic Realizations for Rock Orchestra.
That's it. And that was the first one that was on there. It had the cool pillars.
Wacky buildings.
With the holes in them. Yeah.
And a neat illustration on a cover. Yeah. Well, it excited me a little further on him because you didn't know it went all the way back to 75.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Games was from 1979.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
And was Sequencer the other album that was down there? Or... What was it?
There's only 2. The 75 and the 79.
Oh, so the other one was...
Electronic Realizations for Rock Orchestra.
Yeah, the other one was... Yeah.
You can at least understand it in terms of a progressive rock type thing.
Yeah.
Like a Rick Wakeman solo album.
That's right.
Wasn't 1975 right when Rick Wakeman was making all those cool-ass solo albums?
Yeah,
King Arthur in that?
So, yeah. So, we did this extensive research project that was, of course, mandated by the dog. So, we can stampede right into the review of the entire discography. Starting off with the first
Electronic Realizations.
Yeah. So, it's the simplest album by far. Like, there's like a really simple melody. There's some good harmony. And a choir or a backing synth or 2, and that's pretty much it.
It's all synthesizers.
Yeah.
You go through,
but yeah,
and you come to enjoy.
Yes.
The synergy.
The melodies here are great though.
Nothing but synthesizers.
Like because it's influenced by. It's one of the albums that's influenced by classical music. So, like.
Yeah, are the first couple ones of his.
Yeah.
Classical oriented?
Yeah, so, like, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that really stands out, but there's nothing that really is terrible. Like, it's all this nice, middle of the road type thing.
Yeah, believe it or not, that's going to become a recurring theme.
Where it would, for me, it would work well as background music for, like, a video game, like maybe Sim Earth or something, or, any myriad amount of simulators out there.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about Synergy...
Yeah.
If you're not up for a video game music type of feel or a science video type of feel, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And you need to just give up.
So, the cool thing is, though, is that I've heard some of these tracks before, actually. Before the extensive research project.
Where did you learn? Where did you recognize it from?
The old Cosmos, the one with Carl Sagan.
That's what we were talking about, science videos.
Not
that's perfect. He's perfect. When you close your eyes and hear freaking 75% of his stuff, you're like, gosh, is this just the score from a science educational science video?
Like I kind of feel like
science teacher turned on the TV.
It's like I kind of feel like Carl Sagan should be talking to me right now as I'm listening to the music.
Yeah, you're thinking about like chemistry or the solar system.
So, the next album, Sequencer from 1976.
Yes, he did a pretty good job making almost one per year.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that I hadn't heard at all, but is it pretty close to what the other one was?
Yeah, for me, you can swap tracks and mix them up, and I'd have a hard time telling the difference.
You forget, yeah. I think we had declared the first 2 albums the more classical.
Yeah, named after...
He was still doing the prog rock thing.
Named after, of course, the music tool sequencing, or the sequencer in
that's right.
stuff.
Well, good.
So, I mean, this one's like, I guess you can say it's a little more complex. The arrangements are like maybe that much more complex than the original one.
Not have noticed.
However, there are actually good bass lines in this. Like, it'll rumble your sub. So, like, something from 1976 that's not Pink Floyd, giving your subwoofer a good rumbling is always welcome by me. Definitely. And once again, one of these tracks was featured in Cosmos as well. So, there you go. I was able to gleam yet again on the second album. The third one, Chords. Now, this one's a little different. This is the one I think that you said you liked, like, either the most or the second most, if I remember right. Wasn't it?
Oh, no. My heart lies with games.
Oh, okay.
Well, as far as my personal preference. This is the 78 album?
Yeah, this one's from 78.
You at least notice that it's not 1972 anymore.
Well, yeah, but, like, this
slightly different from how the first two are.
There is definitely a distinct change from this second to the third one.
Yeah, we're moving out of 70s.
Yeah, this the first song especially feels like a reaction to what critics may have said about the first two, which
I can see it
are simple and these songs are like grandiose, they're big, they're full. I remember especially the backing being pushed to way higher volumes than they used to be.
Was this the first one where it sounded like guitars?
Kinda.
They might have used a guitar synthesizer or something?
Yeah.
Then you get the imitation drum noises?
Yeah, you get some good imitation
drums. Sound like a group or something?
And it just sounds more full and rich as compared to the last two, which sounded okay, but this is like a new level. So, like, to me that's better because I like a nice, full, rich sound. I always appreciate, no matter how musically it goes, because he's able to carry forth the same melodies and harmonies, but I guess as a result of technology, the music sounds better and better with time. So, but this fourth album, we're going on to the fourth album, Games.
Yeah, that's how I know Synergy.
Alright.
That's my favorite joint of his.
Definitely.
Is the beginning of Games. I believe the first track is called Delta 2.
Yeah.
Where all the tracks say Delta and then a number or something. But for whatever reason, it doesn't start with Delta 1, it starts with Delta 2. But yeah.
Best opening of any Synergy album by far.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Tons of energy. If you were wondering where the energy from the last three albums went, that's where it is.
Awesome.
But for me, it fulfills its purpose of just being all around awesome game music, video game music. Yeah.
Every title is
and tabletop and
kind of directly relevant.
Yeah.
Sequencers, chords.
Yeah. But
may as well be video game music. Didn't they use him?
Well, yeah.
Or at least rip off somebody like.
There was like a Zoid.
They didn't actually pay a licensing fee or anything.
There was a Zoid track that was different enough to not have to pay them.
Like a Commodore 64 or something.
Yeah. But the thing of it is you got to remember the album came out in '79, before video games really even took off. Well, after the Atari 2600, but video game music in general, something that would take longer for people to formulate in their brains.
We're still in the 70s.
Yeah.
Don't forget all of those synthesizers and keyboards.
70s.
The 70s thing, yeah.
Yeah. This album has plenty of arpeggios, the little do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and plenty of plucky synthesizers. I love the plucky synthesizers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, maybe it was just because it was the first CD of his, an album of his that I heard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's my favorite.
It's, yeah, and it definitely has more of a prog rock feel instead of just, hey, let's plug these classical rhythms into a synthesizer and see what we get type thing.
Oh, well.
But
whatever you want to say. Less.
Yeah.
As he moves on.
Yeah. But, there's, it was also the last track on this album. I remember kind of banging my head a little bit. I'm like, this is actually pretty freaking sweet. But I, of course, can't remember the name of the song. I just remember it's the last song on Games.
It might begin with a delta.
Yeah. So, anyway, that album, highly recommended. Fifth album, Audion?
Oh, yeah. Audion is the 1981.
Yeah.
And it was, again, different. He's still trying to do different stuff.
Oh, very different. Yeah.
It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
As we were moving into 80s, there's already stuff like New Wave.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, synth pop.
So.
Or whatever.
It was time to either fall into that group or complexify your formula. Fortunately, Larry chose to do the complex part, because, like, this album sounded... It was the most full-sounding album up until this point, with instrumentation.
There's different, crazier stuff in the mixes.
Yes, including... Don't tell anyone. He actually used a guitar on this one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know which was real instruments or a synthesizer again.
You're not supposed to be able to tell, but I think he used a real guitar this time. But anyway, and the synths do a good job of blending with the guitar. It almost sounds like a band instead of just one man sometimes. Sometimes. It's the first album I've heard that actually has... It's the first Synergy album I've heard that has an actual high point, as well as that it kind of does this. It goes up and then it mellows out again. Specifically with the guitar parts. The arrangements are great too, because it's a nice blend of prog rock, classical, and there's even a blues track on there. It was the first song with an actual guitar part, and it's the second song on the album, I think.
Oh, the thing that sounds like a rock group? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a blues track on here. What y'all know about that?
Well, he did do the converse of how Gary Newman, remember? Starting as a group with guitars and things,
yeah,
and then moving on to nothing but synthesizers.
It's like this, yeah.
So then Larry Fast ended up doing
the
exact opposite.
Yeah, so probably my second favorite Larry Fast album.
Audion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
Yeah, sixth album. I'll admit I haven't listened to, but that's because it's called Computer Experiments Volume 1.
What, just not on YouTube?
Also from 81.
At this point, it's we're getting later in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll need to salvage my interest.
Right.
What are we doing? 1982.
This is
a live album.
The sixth, the live album came out in 81, but...
Oh, he released two things in 81? That's good.
Yeah, so, I mean, nothing else really in 81, so we have to graduate on to 82 with the seventh...
Put out three things.
With the seventh album, soundtrack to the Jupiter Mints.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What did it end up being? A George Kennedy hosted
kind of like
Aliens documentary?
Yeah, like a Doomsday Alien
Armageddon documentary?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to say here. It's another change. It's the most new age album of the entire discography. Like
New age?
Yeah. Kind of like a Vangelis-ish, like a...
Less classical oriented?
Yeah.
Or not trying to do the pop forms or whatever?
Yeah. So
soundscapes as opposed to classical sequences.
Well, you don't want to detract from the movie with your awesome soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which is actually what wound up happening.
Yep, may as well not hire Larry Fast for your damn...
Yeah, but...
Except you got your dependable forgettability factor.
That's the cool thing about this, is there's an interesting backstory. The producers of the documentary Jupiter Menace wanted to use Gustav Holst.
Oh, yes, the beginning that sounds like the planets and Holst.
Yep.
And,
yeah.
Dun, 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 yeah.
Mm-hmm. But...
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's the, what's it called? The planets.
Yeah, but old Gustav, he said no. He didn't want it, didn't want usage for that, so, they had to hire your boy Synergy to, make the...
Or his grandson? I don't know anything about Holst when he died.
But...
The trust estate?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forget.
So they made a analog as close as humanly imaginable to the Jupiter song from the planets.
So that's good. They did that. But the rest of the album, it's a listenable album. By far. I'm putting it in a New Age playlist. And, yeah. Yeah, I could put it in there and it would sound just fine. Plenty of interesting arpeggios, some great droning synthesizers, and again, the signature great leads by your boy Synergy. But
as we move on,
we move on.
There was a gap, wasn't there?
He didn't
spent the early '80s.
He didn't do anything
on
in '83.
Beaches or starting a restaurant or.
Well, he had to go on tour with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Remember?
What?
No,
I don't ever remember Synergy being on a tour.
I'm kidding.
I was gonna say
they had to wear they all had to wear those dipshit suits from that Love Beach album. But
you have those suits from 1978.
Yeah, Larry Fast.
Man, can we get those back out?
Like
suck again.
So,
well, what do you do in the early '80s? You invest in
better equipment,
cocaine. What's early '80s?
Yeah, crack cocaine.
AMC Eagle.
Yeah, the AMC Eagle.
What's that?
I think the 808 came out by then.
Reaganomaniacs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking Hulk Hogan.
You got to.
Oh yeah, that's right, Rowdy Piper.
You gotta get your late '70s Trans Am in the early '80s. You gotta get your. Gotta get your Michael Knight on, even though that show won't be on for a few more years.
Let's see.
So
it went all the way to
'84, and the thing of it is the 8th album is a compilation.
Oh, the first release of Semiconductor. Yeah, that barely counts. That's like a best of.
So,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not even.
So what we're alluding to is the next
floundering on a beach doing early '80s stuff.
The next original album comes out in '86. So that's 5 years without any new original material.
Oh, 87s? Or 86 or 87?
Yeah.
Somewhere
87, yes, that's
the,
yeah.
I only heard one track on YouTube.
Yeah, but,
what was it? Metropolitan
The Metropolitan Suite?
Or is that the name of the song? That's the name of the album?
Yes, it's the name of the album. But, the thing about this is, we gotta cover the negatives first. Because this has the most negative, but it's like maybe this much negative. Because it's Synergy. You're not this much negative and this much positive type thing. So, the negatives first, and it's not even his fault. The synthesizers especially were starting to sound more real, but it's like the uncanny valley real, where like, even if you're barely paying attention to it, you can tell from a mile away that that's a fake synthesizer and he's trying to do legit or a fake orchestra. And you can tell that he's
trying to sound like strings?
Yeah. It's a fake string patch. But we're still doing this awesome, grandiose thing with a string patch that only sounds like 3 people are playing a violin or something.
Well, yes, it would definitely be like inside looking out as opposed to vice versa.
Yeah.
gosh, what do you even do?
It's
when
hard.
You're a Larry Fast, and you've been doing that since.
That's the thing is
you were freaking a kid in the mid '70s.
I've never been there because I was born in '88. So.
But like, yeah, with us, it's outside looking.
Yeah. So.
How do you?
Yeah, exactly.
You're one of the ones. I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't right away call him pioneer, but he's
he's good.
Early user of whatever. Made a bunch of albums. How do you when it's not the '80s?
Right.
Gosh, yeah.
I mean,
and then it ends up. You go all the way along until it's been more than 10 years.
We have these
87.
Yeah, we have these
and
new
it's laughably fake strings. Let's see,
because that's the thing.
Yeah, how does that even
with the '70s and early '80s fake string? It had a charm. It was definitely artificial, but it was charming. But now we've kind of reached the production in which a fake string is in the middle of weird.
I guess that would kind of count as Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. But
like at that point, you may as well have those fake horns.
Yeah,
from early '90s movie soundtracks.
That's right. It's basically what I'm saying. Like
kids' movies and keyboard horns that are funny.
The thing of it is like whenever you try to be serious with it, to me, it winds up falling flat on its face and not in a good way.
Imagine that.
But what is a Larry Fast in '87 to do? I mean, seriously, he's not making the synthesizers.
Not Synergy anymore.
I mean, but the thing of it is like they get better in the late '90s and early 2000s, and we're going to talk about that later too. But
Korgsmanship.
So you have your Uncanny Valley of the late '80s, and then it flattens out and then gets better during the mid '90s. The positives, there's a lot of them. It's distinctly mid-'80s. You can't mix that up. Maybe even a little early '90s in terms of synthesizer music. But
proto neo '80s.
Yeah, it's proto Dynatron. So I like to mash it up with Vangelis' Direct album, which is my favorite Vangelis album, Direct. That came out in '88. This came out in '87. So you can mash them up, and they sound pretty similar. And it made me think of the Castlevania Symphony of the Night soundtrack.
Oh, good.
So anything that makes me think of Castlevania, as I'm sure the one or two viewers know, is automatically a good thing.
Okay in his book.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you can probably put this album on top of a few original Castlevania for Nintendo songs or stages, and be perfectly okay. Have a good time. Like if you were a tape mixer back then. That's pretty much what I'd do.
Again, it would be just, for me it would be okay background music.
Yeah. So, now, what do you do when you're Larry Fast or Synergy after the late 80s into the 90s?
What did he do throughout most of the freaking 90s?
I think he toured and maybe recompiled his music.
What would that be?
Berlin.
Oh. most popular TV show before The Simpsons.
Oh.
And you got your Arrival of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Let's see, 90s.
There was the
90s. Oh, yes, the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. So, he of course had nothing to do with that. We're even making it past when grunge took over. They're in the mid-90s.
Yes, what are the 90s? It's 19...
And,
neon colors,
yeah,
black background.
We're still doing it. We're still
big old thick TVs.
We're making our way through the 90s into the late 90s. What would you do if you were Synergy in the late 90s?
Take a look back again.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Take a second take a second double look back.
You guys remember that sweet compilation set from '84, right? We're gonna do it again.
I like that cover
The cover's nice.
with the little rainbow plastic wire band, whatever those are. Was that from '84 or was that a new cover made in '98?
I want to say that's a new cover, but I'm not 100%.
Now, for the purpose of these researches, I did go through that whole thing.
Right.
Best of, because it had something to do with
It's a compilation.
the original one from '84
Yeah.
had 2 unreleased tracks put on it.
Right.
Otherwise, it was just a best of. But then this one is a double album, 2 CD set
Yeah.
that was supposed to have 10 unreleased tracks.
Well, see,
Correct?
that's the thing, is we have to define the term new, because that's what the marketing lingo used. They didn't say unreleased. They said new. So, those new tracks are upgraded versions of the old tracks. There might be like 5 genuinely unreleased, newly written for the album. I don't know.
Reworked versions of old
Reworked.
things on the albums.
That's what an electronic compilation is.
Because I was trying to go through the song listings. The guy didn't leave the little timestamp links or whatever.
No.
So I was like, okay, I remember that one from the first album and this one from the Games album. That's from Audion, but then otherwise I was completely lost.
Yeah.
Again, you are fasting your way through
Yeah. Exactly.
a synergy. You're like, oh man, this would make great video game music.
Yeah.
Science teacher or science video music.
And
Nice, uplifting, positive
and
feel with a classical arrangement. Adventure journey.
yeah.
Everything's very floating through the sky.
And
We're on a scientific adventure with clouds in the sky or in space.
go into space.
We were using an synergy album.
And the cool
What was
thing,
that one? Sorry.
I was going to say, the cool thing about Semiconductor is that it proves your point correct. You can mix them up, and it sounds exactly the same.
Most of them.
Sounds like roughly the same. The only reason you can point them out is because it's the high point of this or the high point of that.
Well,
So-
he'll put some memorable things here and there. Like I say, Games is unmistakable and awesome.
Yeah.
But the interchangeable things, you're doing it for.
Right.
To me, that's the utility of synergy. Is
Yeah.
it makes nice background music where you're
Right.
thinking about other stuff. I think that's what background music is.
Yeah. And
What was the one freaking killer part, though? Was that from the dadgum
let's see.
70s or 80s? It's the end of disc 1.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I can't remember what it's
Oh,
called.
Disruption of World Communications. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think's the name of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got your neat little dissonance. He puts this abrupt. We got a nice synergy thing going. And then all of a sudden it kind of literally disrupted.
Yeah. It's a disruption. So,
We're kind of wedging a shosh.
yeah. But, yeah, I mean,
Shoshay.
Shoshay, yeah.
Well,
So-
it's got this whole entire. Was that written in '98 or at least recorded in '98?
That's a good
Arrangement?
question.
Because it had like a.
Because I want to say there was a disruption released in one of the former albums. So, I think, pretty sure that was released before.
Under a different title.
May need to go back and
Anyway, it's got this cool moment. It's a great way to end the whole CD.
yeah, at least it was correctly placed, like at the end of
It'll
the CD.
grab your attention. I was like, boy, was he in like a foul mood at the time? Was he just feeling particularly like inspired? It sounds it had a whole industrial
Yeah,
type of thing with the Meow, meow. It had a.
Yeah.
It was one of the few things of his that had a hard edge, a dissonant. It's like
yeah.
His stuff does not rock.
Yeah. That is true.
I say it in a positive way, and it makes great background music.
Yeah.
Uplifting, scientific journey, whatever. The problem with Synergy is his stuff does not kick ass. It's not edgy rock music of any kind.
So.
And this track was like, oh my gosh, he actually did something that was kind of trying to kick ass.
It's kind of like, what would it be? The More soundtrack from Pink Floyd. There was a couple of rockers on that one, the Nile song. Kind of like the same aspect. They can do it, they just choose not to. So. Now, there is an 11th album.
Oh my goodness.
Whenever you're coasting on your fasting, you want to, after you're done fasting, you kind of want to beef up a little bit, because you're like, oh man, now I'm starving. I need to beef it up, need to beef up the body.
Synergy.
So,
Snacks.
In 2003, when everybody was being extreme, everybody had Future Sport on loop going.
Papa Roach.
Yeah. Some of that new metal. We were getting down with Fred Durst and how he was blowing up our radio and such.
2003.
So, Mac OS X Leopard just came out.
I don't know. Robbie Williams? Or no, that's...
Flubber?
Yeah, what the fuck was 2003?
Anyway, we were a year away from iTunes.
Grace Under Fire. We were a year away from iTunes.
So...
We had to hold on.
So, upon hearing that we were a year away from iTunes, your boy Synergy was like, gosh darn it, I need to remake my tracks again.
Oh, yes, this is the other thing that is a re-recording of some others.
With the 11th album, Reconstructed Artifacts, which is an appropriately named album. Because by this point, they are artifacts. They're like almost 40. So, they count as antiques almost. Or 30.
Yep.
They're almost 30. So,
that would...
if they're not vintage, they're antiques. Type of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But, the thing of it is though, remember that whole thing about fasting your way through the late 80s? And how, the synthesizer strings sounded like absolute garbage back then with the Uncanny Valley-isms? We redid them in 2003, and they kick ass. This is like the handful of what was it? The handful of the album name that I can't remember.
What year?
87. The handful.
Metropolitan Suite?
Yeah, the handful of Metropolitan Suite songs that reappear on here are almost
categorically
perfect.
superior?
Yes. Like
now, what do you mean? They just don't have the fake string sound?
They sound richer. Like, the strings sound good. It sounds like an actual whole string section that would
better
be on
computerization?
Stage. Yeah. And it's the whole, you can take credit for the technology improving thing. It's like, well, I plugged my note sequence into this new synthesizer patch and it automatically sounds amazing. But the plucky synthesizer parts now sound like the instruments they were trying to imitate back then. They sound better. The drums actually either are sampled drums or are good digital drums.
The humanizers.
Yes. I mean, he didn't just plug in these awesome new synths and be like, he didn't churn and burn. He wasn't like plugging it in and be like, oh, this sounds better, let's automatically press the render button. He took the time to figure out that, oh, hey, I really can't I really can't substitute. Oh, hey, I really can't substitute a giant-ass square wave with anything else. So instead, what I'm going to do is make this giant ass square wave sound a little richer and a little better. Maybe put some echo on it or something, and then we push the render button. So he did it very tastefully. And
I can at least see the concern of wanting to go back to your old material with updated technology.
yeah, that's always very nice. It's even easier to do today. So, and speaking of today,
Oh yeah, didn't the wiki button, it said something like he's making a new
yeah, he is.
one
He's gonna redo his old stuff again.
with the Synergy computer program.
Yeah, which that's actually a pretty fly synthesizer. I've used it before. It's not bad. It's got a picture of like a little citrus on the bottom right corner.
Well, was it named for? Was it named after him?
Nobody asked the developer. Nobody was like, "Oh, hey, did you name it after Larry Fast?" Because I kind of doubt they did. Synergy just is a cool sounding tech name. So
Well, that way you get true synergy.
exactly,
A synergy of synergies.
yes.
Ah!
I'm looking forward to it.
With me, I don't know. It's both sides, of course. With me, I enjoy the ones that are the older, the dated technology.
Yeah,
To me, that goes along with part of the like when you see a Sid Mead illustration from the 70s.
yeah,
Retrofuturism.
yeah. That's
where the guy's
awesome.
driving a car that looks like a Nissan, a 72 Nissan concept car or something.
I mean,
Launch of Stratos.
I would say the same thing. I appreciated the older albums more than the newer ones.
I would call, if Sid Mead is a visual futurism, then I would call Synergy an auditory retrofuturism.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a good way to do it.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're stampeding into the future,
Yes.
but it's like, it's like Star Trek. It's what they thought the future was going to be 50 years ago.
Yeah, that type of thing. So,
That's the charm of it to me.
yeah.
And the other stuff is kind of like that, where they were trying their best at the time
There is a lot of charm. There's a great,
to envision what the future was going to be.
yeah. So,
I mean, of course, initially it's going to be the humor value. The idea of a guy at a keyboard, and he's playing his synthesizer, and you got 80s lights flashing.
mm-hmm.
Remember those keytars?
The guitars, yes.
You'd see Rick Wakeman in about 1978 holding this brand new giant keytar that
Yeah.
the technology had just... Oh my gosh, he's got a keyboard guitar!
Yeah, that was
It's the future.
the future, yep.
So I guess I'm not going to blame him for trying to
Yeah.
embrace whatever the new thing that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You do wish he would make new compositions.
Yeah, that would be great.
See, like, reworking an old material just to, give an example of what the superior technology is.
Yeah. But we only need like one or two songs like that. Like we can just
Yeah, the rest of the album can go ahead and be.
Yeah.
I don't know. You want to interview him or something
Yeah.
and see what he has to say about the fact that he hasn't come out with any new songs for a long time.
Yeah. So yeah.
Or is that what that album's going to be?
Well,
Did
I
it say
read,
anything about going to have new material on it?
I
by God?
read both. People are very speculative about that. Some people say it's going to be new material. Other people say it's going to be a redo of a remaster, rework of his older material. Again.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
jumping on
You can
the
just
pioneering...
Sequel.
Yes. Jumping on the pioneering business, musical move of constantly pressing the render button again on your songs. So, there you go.
Do you like him
Oh yes.
overall?
I mean, I won't go out and seek Synergy. I won't buy this flashy new box set if it ever comes out. Like, if I need good background music, he'll pop up if I search late 70s background music, probably.
If it came on a random shuffle,
yeah,
or a satellite radio station or something, I would not be mad.
No.
I still love some of the tracks from games.
Yeah.
And I had kind of a soft spot just from having purchased the first album.
Right.
I think it's cool that his first thing came out in '75.
Yeah, that's probably the most awesome part. Is
there's other electronic guys that would get the credit for trailblazing. Or whatever, but he definitely was right up there with a bunch of the computerization.
Yeah.
And the remember the thing where he's showing off the floppy disk?
Yeah. Where he's like, this bad boy can hold
the entire album.
Yeah.
Then has to be retransferred.
Yeah.
In a different studio.
That was pretty awesome.
So he did some great, cool technology stuff.
Yeah. So
the album covers kicked ass. I love all of them. Freaking album covers.
Yeah. It never slowed down with the album covers. So.
And if his stuff is tame and forgettable, there are at least
it's
bright spots and albums that are cooler than others.
Yeah.
I'll definitely say I can go along with.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have done the video
to last a couple hours.
Yeah.
Remember in my crash course the other day, I finally got a synergy overload.
It was a synergy fever dream.
Well, yeah. The problem was I was consciously listening to.
Yeah.
I wasn't using it for its comfortable intended purpose, for me at least, of background music. I was sitting there concentrating, purposely paying attention to listening to the synergy music, so it was kind of like...
Yeah. So it was...
screwed up that way?
So it was a glutton instead of a fast.
But like... yeah. But like... yeah, sitting there, background music, road trip...
yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
Video game music. And what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, instructional science videos.
No, yeah, yeah. Educational, yeah. Those are it.
And you don't have to dance unless you freaking want to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not going to fault you for dancing.
Well, it's the idea of not being forced.
Yeah. You can do this to it and be
we can finally get some good electronica.
Exactly.
Where getting your booty on the floor is not a freaking, iron requisite.
Yeah, it's not bare minimum. So